All right, Norm James with Mike Augello. Some baseball convo now. The trade, Happ. Love this guy. Beautiful left-handed pitcher, former 20-game winner on his way to the New York Yankees to help them take down the Boston Red Sox, going back to the Toronto Blue Jays. Billy McKinley, an outfielder, I believe, and Brandon Drury, who plays rover, left fielder, right fielder, third base, second base, first base.
Yeah.
I think he is a batting practice pitcher too. Mike, what do you think about the deal?
I think it's a very good return for the Blue Jays. I mean, Brandon Drury was basically a victim of circumstance in New York. He was brought in there to be the starting third baseman, and he apparently kept migraines that he'd had for a couple years secret. He hadn't talked to him about with Arizona, and it was just sort of like he finally fessed up when it came to these headaches giving him a problem in New York. He went on the DL, went down to AAA, and they called up Miguel Andujar, who was a pretty decent prospect, but hadn't gotten the opportunity to play third base. And he's an average defensive third baseman, but he's a very good hitter, and he is really impressed. I think he has 30 doubles already so far this season for the Yankees. And it was a situation where they needed a starting pitcher in the middle bottom of their rotation, and it really needed him badly with guys like Domingo German and Luis Sessa. There's just not a lot of, some of their prospects are a couple of years away from being in the major leagues, so they needed that stopgap. And I think the swaying factor here was the fact that Happ has a great career record against the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
So that deal helped the Yankees, but I think it helps the Blue Jays as well because it gives them an option. Now, I assume that Vladimir Guerrero is going to be the starting third baseman for them when he comes up, which will probably be either in September or maybe early next year, depending on the whole contract, retainable years.
Mm-hmm.
But Drury is a third baseman, but he also is a second baseman, and he could play there if Devin Travis is not. Anymore. So I think it's a good acquisition, and he has some flexibility, and he also is under control for 4 more years. So for the cost-cutting Blue Jays and Mark Shapiro, that's probably a very important factor.
Cost-cutting, Mark Shapiro, Ross Atkins, those terms and names together, concocted and coagulating among the Toronto Blue Jays fan psyche right now, Mike. It doesn't sit too well. Now, the Shapkins, as I call them, I mean, they've been able to build an organization in Cleveland that is reaping some of the benefits of smart construction over the last decade or so. But I don't think Blue Jays fans want to wait too long to return to October baseball, considering 15 and 16 were just such a blast, and those playoff years capped off a really long, 2-decade-long run of playoff futility. So it's a tough position for these guys to be in, especially taking the helm from an Alex Anthopoulos, who's a homegrown guy. But that's neither here nor there. I wanted to just mention Happ and why I like him so much. Is that Happ had some fanfare when he came out, and this is a guy who was supposed to be a part of that Roy Halladay deal. Jays and Phillies back in 2009. It didn't necessarily work out that way, but what I like about him is that he's been able to ascend throughout his career and get better. And we've seen it in baseball on so many occasions, and we're seeing it more often, which I really, really like, where a player with fanfare stumbles out of the gate, can't find their way, ends up in the bullpen if they're a pitcher, just almost gets onto a career trajectory of being an afterthought, especially, and which would be a disappointment considering the expectations that were placed upon them during their, the first times they stepped on a baseball field with that particular MLB team. But you look at Happ and you see how he's gotten better over the years. And to me, and I know he's a bit older now, and clearly he's around for a short time, not a good time, not a long time. But it's exciting to see a player put in the hard work and reap the benefits of that hard work, and now being able to join the Yankees along with Zach Britton out of the bullpen. Yeah. I mean, I have to think that, look, the Yankees have to be considered among the favorites to go all the way. And for the Yankees, I mean, it's been 10 years since the last World Series. Um, Fans are getting antsy, and you like the way that this team is built with superstars, rentals, free agent acquisitions, but most importantly, a lot of homegrown talent. Last word to you.
Well, their aspirations to win the AL East took a hit yesterday because Aaron Judge
Sure.
got hit with a pitch on the wrist, and he's going to be out for 3 weeks with a chip fracture. So there's been some chatter about, because obviously they traded McKinney in the deal with the Blue Jays, and Clint Frazier's out with a concussion. So now they're talking, and there's a possibility of maybe them picking up an ex-Yankee like Curtis Granderson as a fourth outfielder,
Why
because
not?
they really need, I think they need another outfielder for a month or so, and I think he's shown he's still got something left. He's not
Sure.
Granderson of a few years ago, but we know he can play in New York because he's played for the Mets and the Yankees, and he's a good veteran and a great guy. I just think from the Blue Jays' point of view, though, it's like you see, they're probably going to move Granderson. There's a lot of talk about them moving Solarte, and if they do that, I mean, really, this is the beginning of the tear down, and I wouldn't be surprised if over the winter, if they find anybody to take Russell Martin, or if they basically hold on to Donaldson for another year and then try to trade him next year. This is the beginning of the significant tear down, and I think you're just going to see the Blue Jays go that way and then build up again with the Guerreros and the Bichettes.
Well, don't forget about Cavan Biggio. The guy's got 21 home runs. He's in Double A. He leads all. He leads that league with home runs. He leads all Blue Jay minor leaguers with 21 bombs. I mean, more baseball pedigree. We know Craig Biggio, 3,000 club guy, 3,000 hit club. He's Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, didn't get his World Series ring with the Houston Astros after they finally pulled it off. But we've seen the Blue Jays go that route with players who come from baseball major league pedigree, and we'll see if it works. But I think with Blue Jays fans, they just have to understand that team was, I think, kind of, it just came together, and it worked, and they caught lightning in a bottle at a time. The Yankees were stumbling a little bit, and the Red Sox were trying to find their way, and now the Red Sox and Yankees, those lulls are not going to be sustained, and that those teams are going to be building as quickly as possible through whichever means they can to get back to top status. Because for especially for the Yankees, I mean, like, what are you going to do? Toil in fourth place for a decade? It doesn't make sense, especially when you have so many resources at your disposal. The Blue Jays now, look, we'll see what happens to a lot of those hipster millennial fans who jumped on the run over the past couple of years, to see if they can come back to the ballpark and just enjoy watching these young players form into potential superstars. I'm certainly really excited about it, and I'm hoping that Shapkins can continue to, maybe in small ways, improve their reputation by making smart trades that will benefit, obviously, who they're trading to, but more importantly, bring back a return that's going to help the Jays in the long run. Mike, we got to get out of here, man.
Thanks, Norman.